Welcome to Cinema Recaps. Please like, share, and subscribe for more interesting videos. The film starts in Gainesville, Florida, where Haley is getting ready for her 100-meter freestyle swimming dash at her university campus. It's a normal practice, but Haley is extremely focused, and as the whistle goes off, she jumps into the pool along with the other girls. They are swimming at an extraordinary pace, and pretty soon, they are on their way back to the finish line. Haley is among the front runners, but by the time she reaches the finish line, a girl just gets ahead of her and wins. Haley did extremely well, but she is really competitive, so she's feeling bad about this loss. While getting out, she remembers her father Dave's advice. Dave used to be her coach, and he always told her that she was the apex predator, so she shouldn't worry about losing. She goes to the changing room and receives a call from her elder sister, Beth. Beth tells Haley about the Category 5 hurricane that's about to hit the coastal areas the same day. Beth is worried about her dad because he lives in marshy areas and he hasn't picked up her calls. Everyone in that area has been evacuated, so the sisters want to know Dave's whereabouts. Haley is 2 hours away from Dave's home, and she decides to go and check on her father. She's driving through vicious rain, and the radio is warning everyone to leave the coastal areas. Eventually, she has to stop at a checkpoint. There, she meets Beth's ex-boyfriend, Wayne, who tells her that no one is allowed back to the swamp. Everyone is leaving, and he doesn't want Haley to put herself in danger. So Haley tells him to check on Dave whenever he can. She's driving back to the city, but on a whim, she turns back and goes past the checkpoint. She gets to Dave's place, but he isn't there. She finds their family dog and a lot of old mail, so she calls Beth and says that she has to check on their family home. She goes there with the dog through the pouring rain. The home looks to be in bad condition, and it was supposed to be sold a long time ago. She finds Dave's truck there and keeps looking for him. She checks every room and also goes outside to look for him. She eventually calls his cell phone, but the phone is right there in the kitchen. Suddenly, she hears the dog barking at something in the crawl space. Haley grabs a torch and goes down there. There are critters everywhere, and she's scared. She is checking every corner and eventually finds Dave's tool belt. She then sees her dad collapsed in the corner. She runs there and finds claw marks on his back. Dave is alive, but he's hurt, so Haley puts him on a tarp and tries to drag him to the staircase. That's when a giant gator falls on the stairs and starts chasing them. Haley is frightened, but still drags Dave back past the pipes, where the gator can't get to them. Haley is pretty shaken by this encounter, and she looks around trying to find an escape. She can still see the gator in the distance. When Dave suddenly wakes up, Haley gives him some water, and Dave tells her how the gator got inside through the drain pipe and attacked him. Outside, the storm is hitting the neighborhood, and Haley knows they have to get out. She sees her phone and goes to grab it, even though Dave tells her not to. She can hear the alligator in the distance, so she grabs her phone and also catches a glimpse of the beast. She's trying to call her sister when suddenly she hears some groaning. Another alligator has snuck up behind her, and Haley has to run. She tries to get to safety, but the gator grabs her by the leg and drags her away. Haley kicks it in the face to get out of its grip, but she is still surrounded by two giant predators. She eventually stabs one of them in the eye with a screwdriver and crawls inside some safe space. She's badly injured and her leg is bleeding, but she is safe at the moment. She uses some cloth to cover her wounds. Meanwhile, Dave uses a wrench and his tool belt to make a makeshift splint for his broken leg. By this point, the water level inside the crawl space is steadily rising. After a few minutes, Haley musters up the courage and gets to the walls of the crawl space, where she sees some people across the street. She's screaming for help, but these people are actually robbers trying to steal an ATM machine. One of the robbers sees Haley's flashlight, and he wants to help her, but his friend gets dragged right off the boat by a gator. The guy tries to run, but he also gets taken down, and his third partner sees all of this carnage from inside the grocery store. He too becomes a victim, and Haley witnesses this carnage from the window. She doesn't know what to do, but Dave tells her to check a corner of the crawl space for a secret exit. Haley follows his directions and finds the hidden door, She tries her best to open the door, but something's blocking it. She tells Dave that the secret door won't work, and he explains how the crawl space will be underwater in an hour. Haley wants to escape through the drain pipe, but Dave says the gator used it, so she should come back to safety. He's trying to keep an eye on the water level when he hears a motorboat outside. They both run to the wall and see Wayne with another cop looking for them. He's entering the house, and Haley and Dave make a lot of noise to attract his attention. The rain is masking every sound, so Wayne doesn't hear them at first. Eventually, he hears Haley's muffled screams and walks towards the garage. Outside, his partner sees the swing set being pulled by something. Wayne finds them in the crawl space, but Haley tells him about the alligators. Wayne calls for his partner, who is being chased by an alligator. Wayne is getting frustrated when all of a sudden, the alligator jumps up and grabs him. His partner also gets grabbed and dies outside. Haley can hear Wayne's screams and she tries to help him, but the gator drags him away. She then swims back to safety while a gator chases her. She has lost hope and she tells Dave that she doesn't want to die this way. She has a lot of regrets, one of them being how she caused a rift between their parents. Dave was too focused on her training, and his wife didn't like it, and this led to their divorce. However, Dave tells her that his marriage was always doomed, so she shouldn't blame herself for it. He then shares his plan with Haley. Dave noticed earlier that whenever he hits the pipes, the alligator got distracted. He plans to distract them while Haley can swim towards the staircase and get out. She agrees to take a dive into the water, while Dave starts bashing the pipes with a brick. Haley gets to the staircase, but she can't get up since it's broken. Meanwhile, an alligator tries to attack Dave, but instead gets caught up under some falling pipes. Dave uses this opportunity to hit the alligator with a shovel, continuously until it dies. Haley, on the other hand, decides to go through the drain pipe. She finds a lot of debris there, along with unfortunate victims of the alligators. She also sees some eggs and realizes that it's a nest. She then spots an alligator entering the drain pipe area. She needs to defend herself, so she tries to grab the gun from Wayne's dead body. She manages to get the gun, but the gator attacks her and grabs her hand. So Haley just shoots the animal multiple times and kills it. She tells her dad to wait as she goes through the narrow pipe that leads her to the lake outside her house. She's swimming around when an alligator sees her. It starts chasing Haley as she tries to swim away. She barely makes it out of the lake and sees some choppers in the sky. In the crawl space, Dave is struggling with the rising water level. He's barely holding on, and Haley knows that. She breaks through the glass door to get inside and uses a crowbar to tear away some floorboards. Dave is drowning at this point, and Haley has to pull him out of the water. However, Dave isn't breathing and Haley is fearing the worst. She starts beating up his chest to revive him, and this works as Dave suddenly wakes up. They both walk out of the house to find a small river outside. Dave points at a boat used by the robbers, but Haley says there are too many alligators in the water, so they should just stay put. This is when Dave reminds her that pretty soon the riverbanks will overflow, and everything will get swept away by the river. They have to get out, and Dave assures her that the alligators won't attack them as long as they don't make any splashes. So they start walking into the waist-deep water. Suddenly, the eye of the hurricane passes over them and the rain stops. A giant alligator passes them by without noticing them, and they just stay silent. However, the blurring sirens warn them about the flood that's approaching. So Haley swims towards the boat as many alligators chase her. She gets the boat working and goes back to her father, but the flood is already there and they have to brace for it. The flood waves hit and push the boat back into their house. They have to hold on to anything they can to save their lives. Dave ends up near the staircase where he finds a lot of flares. Haley, meanwhile, is stuck in a room full of water and debris. She manages to get a radio, but no one on the other end is paying any attention to her distress call. Meanwhile, Dave is trying to help his dog when all of a sudden, a gator grabs his arm. During the struggle, Dave loses his arm and is bleeding profusely. Haley gets there and the gator now goes after her, so she tries to hide inside the bathroom, but the predator gets inside. She's hiding inside the shower area and tricks the animal before locking it inside. She then goes to her father, who is trying to stop the bleeding. They go to the attic and try to signal the rescue choppers by lighting up a flare. But instead of a chopper, a gator gets in and Dave has to go to the roof. Meanwhile, Haley is again stuck in a water-filled room, and this time, the gator grabs her by the shoulder. The vicious animal starts its death roll, and Haley gets flashbacks from her life. She then sees a flare and uses it to make the gator lose its grip. She quickly gets out of the house, but the gator is still after her. It's trying to grab her again, but gets swept away by the waves. Haley then gets on top of the roof, where her father is sitting with his dog. Suddenly, they see some helicopters nearby. The film ends with Haley lighting a flare for a helicopter that's coming to rescue them from this nightmare. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you like this video, smash that like button and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with the latest and interesting videos.